welcome to Medicated Babbling, the rants, the laughs, the tiny baby steps that get us through chronic illness. And a quick disclaimer before we get started, I am not a health practitioner of any kind, so I'm just a person with chronic illness and opinions. This month I got to talk to my friend, Lene Andersen, about her new audiobook, Chronic Christmas, Surviving the Holidays with a Chronic Illness. It's a great book, and one of the things I love is that it's got tips and tricks. Goodness, tips and tricks. Not just for those of us with a chronic illness, but also for the friends and family around us, which I think is brilliant. And I think it would make a great stocking stuffer. Okay, let me take that back. It would make a great stocking stuffer, but you need the tips now so you can get through the holidays. So no need to wait for the holidays to give it as a stocking stuffer. I think is there such a thing as like a pre-Christmas stocking stuffer? Like a pre-gift before the holidays? Because I think this would be perfect for that. Or give it as a stocking stuffer and then you're prepped for next year. Doesn't matter. Anyway, it's great. Get it for everyone. No, like I said, no need to wait for the actual holiday. I guess I should tell you a little bit about Lene. She's a chronic illness and disability advocate and an author. Clearly. Did I mention she has a new audiobook out? She has a new audiobook. Who has an audiobook? I think it's amazing. Anyway, we're good friends, so I was just so pleased to have her on the podcast, and I am very proud of us both. I mean, I'm more proud of her. She made an audiobook. Did I mention the audiobook? But I'm also very proud of the two of us that we actually stayed mostly on topic. Anyway, enough about this. Here's the interview. You has an audiobook, not just a book, an audiobook.
I have an audiobook. I first had a book, and then I had an ebook, and then now I have an audiobook, and I'm very excited.
You should be. Well, no, okay, so just because usually I end the podcast on like what makes us happy or whatever, because sometimes it gets dark and whatever. But this time I'm starting with it, because it is very exciting.
I think that's good, and I think this is so much of a dash of happy that it's more like shovel full, truck full, something like of happy.
Well, you've been excited about it for months because you've been working on it, whereas the rest of us only heard about it. You launched it last month, right? Or
yeah, a few weeks ago.
Okay, so
by the time this is out, a few weeks ago.
Yeah. So yay!
Thank you.
How do you keep things secret?
So I'm a really crappy liar, and my only option is to pretend it's not happening.
Okay.
And that was the only way I could keep secret that my sister was pregnant with twins. So by the time she said, "Oh, you can tell people now," I kept forgetting because I've gotten so used to, no, this is not happening. But this one I actually talked about online.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I don't know, I wouldn't have been able to keep quiet.
No, it was really, well, I'm in a lucky position that I have a lot of friends I talk to offline, such as yourself, so I can kind of get the excitement out there rather than, so I can not be completely monologue-y about it in the rest of my life online.
Awesome. And now that we've been talking about the book for however many minutes this is, what is the book? Would you like to share with the class?
I would, thank you. It's called Chronic Christmas, Surviving the Holidays with a Chronic Illness, and it is a sort of an advent calendar of tips to basically get through the holidays with your sanity and body and energy reserves intact. And each chapter has a tip on what you can do to kind of keep things reasonable and put your health first while also actually come to enjoy the holidays. Surprise, surprise. And it also includes tips for what your friends and family can do to help you. Because I think often that's one of the hardest things about chronic illness. People say, "Oh, just let me know if I can help." And you're like, "I don't know."
Can you breathe for me? Because it seems really exhausting right now.
Yeah, well, exactly, right? And and then you start feeling like a burden and an imposition. And can I ask them this? Or can I? And sometimes it's much easier to have people say, you know, I'm coming over on Tuesday. What do you need? Or I'll come over and help you decorate or something like that. And I think I think on the other hand, it also, because the people who love us really want to help, and they feel, I think, often or maybe sometimes more helpless, because at least we learn tricks to manage things. But I think the people who watch how hard it is often feel really helpless because they don't know what to do. And they can't change the fact that we have a chronic illness, which is what they want to do.
Oh, we all want that.
Well, yeah, wave the magic wand, come on. But I think giving people concrete ideas about this would be helpful.
Yeah.
Go do that. Can kind of help build bridges between those of us who live with chronic illness and those who want to make our lives a bit easier.
So what are you doing? I guess... So what, is there like a favorite one that you use a lot out of the book? A favorite tip for yourself? We'll won't throw the family under the bus just yet.
Get other people to help you. I've gotten better at asking for it. It's still really hard. I think one of the themes of the book is kind of do less so you can do more, which sounds impossible and very oxymoron-ish. But I think things like, instead of decorating your entire house so it looks like old Santa and his elves barfed up Christmas all over, then focus on one room or one thing, or and over the years I've kind of reduced what I do. I have a little bit of a staple of what I do, but I don't go whole hog anymore. It's just kind of find what is it that says Christmas to me, and Christmas is coming, and what is it that... I did a lot of thinking about what really made me happy, and what really kind of makes me feel that kind of, okay, so I'm a Christmas nerd, like that whole building excitement and butterflies in your stomach, and oh my god, it's Christmas! And then I just do that.
Fair enough. I know I've seen a few people also go through this sort of thing just because of age. And now it's time for the next generation to start hosting or whatever. Yeah. And that transition's often very difficult as well. Because it's the same sort of thing. Like, you want to, you think it's expected, all the things, and then you're like, no, it's just not happening. And so, especially, my family's never had a huge, like, tradition of like baking for a month before or whatever. Well, baking at all, really, but that's a whole other story. Like, that's what bakeries are for. But no, I bake. The rest of my family does not. But there's like no. So it's so for some families. There's preparation starting in October. Because you have to get this done, and the shortbread cookies have to age, and if there's fruitcake, which I think
shortbread cookies have to age?
They taste better once they've aged a while. They taste very different when they're fresh out of the oven. Yeah.
See, what do they do? Like, put them on a lock and key or something?
Well, the one family I knew, they didn't do too much, but they did. I remember as a kid helping out, and they just made a ton of them, because yes, there was evaporation. But they're very bland when they first come out of the oven. They don't get that.
Yeah, well, that's why I don't like shortbread much.
Right, but if you let them sort of sit, I don't know what the magic is, but I guess
rancid butter.
Yeah, I don't do butter anymore, so I'm not sure.
No, we used to do. Well, my mom would every year she would say, "Okay, I'm baking early this year," because she would bake a lot of cookies, and then she would put them in cookie tins and put tape around them to seal them.
Tape's easy to get off.
It was, yes. so then after that,
so that little mice came along and magically took it out of the tin.
Well, I think it was so pathetic, and we liked whatever she had left out so much that she just went, "Oh, to hell with it," and just ripped the tape off, and then she baked again later. She was a lovely mom.
So was mine. We just got the cookies from the bakery.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's all about the cookie delivery.
Yeah. No, I know. Well, I think when she just started, there was a bunch that people ate, and then a bunch got like put in a cupboard somewhere, and then but all that stuff. like, it's just a lot of work. Like, even just the mental work of planning and everything else. So it is nice when somebody else can take some of that off.
Like, I find even though my gift giving is usually limited to a very small number of very close people, and usually one of my attendants will come out and say, okay, it's time to decorate, and because she starts at the end of November, and I tend to not do it until about a week or two before Christmas, because otherwise I get bored of it. So like, I usually have people to kind of, there's a routine by now, and just tradition of what happens when, but it's still exhausting. I still run around like a crazy person the day before, and although I think there is some joy in that, because the closer you get, the friendlier people get, so it's kind of nice to be out and about, but at the same time, no, it's not enjoyable. Then there's a crash after. Like, just make it through the festivities, and then you crash for several days, and I really don't want to do that. Then like, if I spend my holidays being sick because I did too much, then something is not right.
That's true. Yeah, it always comes back to balance. It's very frustrating.
Oh God, I hate balance. No. All I'm not saying kind of rural here.
Just not.
Yeah.
Balance. Yeah, no, one of my biggest things isn't, I think I've gotten a handle on most, plus my family is pretty low maintenance, so which is very good. But
also really frustrating.
Oh yeah, no, there's pros and cons to everything.
What the hell do you give people who are really low maintenance?
Nothing. We don't do gifts anymore. Which used to make me really sad, and still kind of does when I don't have an oodle of presents to open, but makes my life so much easier that I am willing to pay the price.
There's that. Let's get together to eat. Okay.
Yeah. And most of the time we get together at a restaurant, because same thing, nobody wants to have to do all the work that it takes. And plus, between food allergies and people having various preferences and all the rest of it, it's just,
restaurants are easier.
Yeah.
Once you have found a cup, I did like a small handful where everybody can find something.
Yeah, the allergies make it trickier because for a while the strategy we used was just generally buffet. Because, I mean, I'm the veggie head, so the buffets weren't probably monetarily worth it for me, but at least I could find stuff to eat. Yeah. Everyone could find something, from the carnivore to the picky to the veggie head. But allergies and cross-contamination does not work with the buffet strategy.
No. Then you find a place where, yes, we have the buffet, but you can also have stuff off the menu. So that works.
I know.
And then your local, one of the places that does that ends up putting an entire truckload of poinsettia in the restaurant. So then the person with the latex allergy, hello, can't go.
Yeah, that one I always forget about. Most of them, but I mean, for you, I probably would have just assumed it was flowers, just because
I think it's the flowers, like, because I think you have to get actually. I think you actually have to get in touch with the sap. You have to touch the sap, but at the same time, like, I just remember going into the restaurant last year, and there was poinsettias everywhere, and just starting to wheeze because also asthma.
Okay, so now you say poinsettias, I say poinsettias.
It's spelled poinsettias. I don't know. It's an immigrant thing. English is my second language. I absolve myself from responsibility.
Well, English as the first language, people cannot agree on the pronunciations of things, so don't worry.
There's an I in there, so I assumed it was poinsettias, but it could be poinsettias. Who knows?
I could be saying it wrong my entire life. I don't know.
I think everyone who's listening to that should send you an email with their pronunciation of it.
And they should leave a comment. And then,
okay, leave a comment. That's better.
Or I guess it's a review if it's a podcast. Anyway, whatever.
Yes.
Clearly I'm up on
leave reviews that say they don't know how to pronounce things. That'll work out well. Don't do that. Don't do that.
The answer is yes. I don't know how to pronounce things.
Yeah, me neither.
I figure if you just say it with confidence and fast enough, like if I hadn't called you on it,
Exactly. Nobody would
No. There would be a small percentage that would just think, it's this way, not that way.
Yeah, I know.
Potato, not potato.
Yes.
I know.
Yes, I'm one of those.
Yeah, I've yelled occasionally. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but for the most, I'm learning to let it slide more and more, unless it's really egregious. But whatever. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no. My big thing for the most part, I must admit, like I said, my family pretty easygoing, which really, really helps, and all the rest of it. But it's when I have to cancel and I can't go to something. Yeah. Like most of the time during the year, I've trained friends and family that let's to get together on Monday. The backup day will be Wednesday. Or they're used
and if it's really bad, then next Monday.
Yeah. Or
Wednesday.
So, and they know I'm not canceling because I don't want to spend time with them. Because if somebody cancels 10 times in a row, you'd be like, oh, they don't want... No, it was just a really bad month.
Yeah, well, exactly, right?
So, it takes... But everybody, including myself, we've all gotten pretty well trained. So, I know they mean it well, but I remember one time I brought it up that I feel bad. And they're like, well, don't worry, we'll have the party without you.
But that's the problem, because people are having fun without you.
I know!
It's FOMO.
It's my birthday!
Exactly.
Oh, I guess the audio people won't know, but my birthday is in December, so it also lines up with all the festivities.
Close. Yeah.
So it is one of those things where, I don't want to ruin everybody else's fun, but...
I want to have some too.
I know.
Well, and I think that's the whole point of my book, to get self-promotional again, is that the goal of all of these tips to kind of focus in and to do less so you can do more and all of that is with that whole point of you're not curled up in bed completely wrecked from everything you did to prepare and canceling right, left, and center, but by doing less, you have more energy. You're not crashing and wrecked all the time, which means when there's a party or a thing or a celebration or cookie exchange, back to cookies, there's actually
right back around
always. There's a lot better chance that you might be able to go, maybe not the whole thing, but that you'll be able to have part of it. And I think that's, I don't know, I think a lot of the goal is to live in such a way that you are actually able to have a life whenever possible. Instead of, that's the quest we're all on, to relegate the chronic illness to the back burner so we can live out there, right? And sometimes we just need a reminder, especially because Christmas becomes... You can start off with... Please notice how I interrupted myself there.
Oh, honey, I can't finish a thought to save my life.
Yeah, I know. And it gets worse when we're together.
I
know.
We're being very good for us.
Yes, I think so. I was going somewhere with that. Oh, yes. I think you can start out with some fantastic ideas about what you're not going to do. But then the whole thing just takes over. Whether it's Christmas or another holiday or another big event such as, I don't know, a wedding, a large party, something like that. Something always happens for it, and it starts, what's the word?
Spiraling?
Sure. Spiraling out of control. I was thinking more that, the boulder running, going down the hill. Snowballing, thank you.
Snowballing, that works too. There we go. The arm was waving. I'm like, that looks like a spiral.
Yeah, well, sort of. Yeah, but,
the thing snowball, yeah.
Yeah, and I think if you start out, the smaller you start out, the smaller they snowball, because they will snowball.
Yeah.
Because at a certain point, you'll just snap and do all of it.
No, that's just because we have control issues. That has nothing to do with chronic illness. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. Actually, I think that is a nice little spiral, though, because I have to control as much as I can.
Absolutely.
And if I have those tendencies anyway, and then it's reinforced by,
not being in control of so much. Yeah,
but I think that's not necessarily for everyone, but definitely.
I think I think that happens more often than you know. Like, I used to think I was just, like, an unmitigated control freak, and then I read this fantastic book called Strong at the Broken Places by Richard M. Cohen.
How do you remember the book and author?
Because that was the first author that I interviewed and wrote an article about. So it was kind of my first, like the moment where I became a quote-unquote real writer. Also, it's a really good book. And he basically, the book is the story of 4 or 5 people with various types of chronic illness, disability, terminal illness, etc. And there was a discussion of control. And because and basically that so much of our lives is out of control that, yes, exactly, you control what you can.
Well, yeah.
And that's when I realized I was normal.
But it's also, if you don't control for the things that you can control for, if this makes sense, the consequences are more dire.
Oh, then your life goes even more out of control.
Right, like, so if I don't control for my migraine trigger, or like food triggers, then I'm definitely going to have a migraine. So, whereas if I can control for it, well, then I may or may not have a migraine.
Yeah, oh, wow. But you increase your chances.
Exactly. And like the consequence is like pain. It's not like, oh well, we missed a thing, we can do it tomorrow. Like, it's not a low
No, because the missing, like, there's a good reason we miss things. Like, it means that you're feeling so absolutely crap that, you know, you may not be able to leave the bed. Never mind leave the house. And that doesn't last just one day, usually, for anyone.
I hear ya. And you don't want those days to be whatever holiday or birthday or whatever you're celebrating. So yeah, I know there is that also, I don't know, I think sometimes, like, I know there's a lot of, I think it could just be an appointment or something, something that's important. Or yeah, it's almost it's even more super stressful, because you're like, please don't. Like, I've done everything I can, but please don't. Please let me be able to go to this thing.
And then whack.
I know.
Yeah.
Sometimes it holds out, though.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but then it sucks, too, because it's like, well, I'm not going to go to this thing or get together with friends or decorate my house because I have an important appointment on Monday, and maybe it's not terribly important. Maybe it's just a checkup where you're in and out in 5 minutes, not counting the wait time, which is hours. But you know that maybe you have one question, or the checkup is important, because regular checkups are. And if you don't go, then your next appointment is 3 months later. Yeah. And it's like, well, if I got a question to ask, then it's like, okay, then I turn down the rest of my life, sometimes turn off the rest of my life, so I can go to an appointment. It's very annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you can Christmas, yeah, I mean, just reschedule it, because Christmas seems more important sometimes, but not others. I don't know. I guess everybody has to decide.
Well, I think it depends. Because in my family, we've always celebrated on the 24th. You celebrate on Christmas Eve, that's when you celebrate, and that's like the one command performance a year. And that we usually try to do it on the 24th, but every now and again things are a little bit different.
Well, especially with multiple generations and kids and school and work and
blended families.
Yeah.
And like this year, for instance, I think on the 24th, my sister's kids are with their dad, so we decided we're just going to move Christmas up. Because in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter, yet it does, because it'll be, I think, only the 3rd time in my life that I'm not doing Christmas on Christmas Eve, and it's very wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess my family is so unsentimental and way too easygoing, but we started moving things around, I think, when I was in high school, because my brother was in university, because a lot of things, like, Thanksgiving in Canada is on the Monday, so it freaked me out when I found out it was, like, on a Thursday in the States. I was like,
yeah,
what?
That's very strange.
I was very confused. But even the Monday doesn't work because Monday night you have dinner, everybody just wants to, go take a nap and go to sleep. But you gotta, drive the kid back to university and do this and pack up and whatever. So it just made sense to have, Thanksgiving on a Saturday. And then, then move that, so then it wasn't as busy. But then, and then slowly everything just started moving because we're like, oh, well, such and such will get, triple time if they work on the holidays. So why don't we just move our holidays so they can go get all the overtime? We're very practical sometimes.
Well, and to be honest, there is, I do think that if you try to keep it as close to the day, especially something that's very specific, like this date of this month, right?
Oh, there's somebody that's been campaigning for Christmas in August for years and has been vetoed every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I do think it has to be, around the general time.
Yes.
But
if somebody can make triple time for an 8-hour shift on the 24th or the 25th, Boxing Day, here we come.
And actually, with all the blended families and stuff, and it usually made it much easier, too, because if somebody else was dating someone that had a very rigid, like you say, command performance, 24th, it must be, then you're like, all right, well, I'll do that there, and we'll move this to Boxing Day, or whatever. But, so, yeah. Holidays.
It's like this always, and then anytime you try to change anything, it's because there's so much about the holidays, and especially Christmas, and I assume holidays in other cultures as well. There are certain holidays where everything must be done the same way all the time, year after year after year, and then you try to mess with it.
Well, I find it usually takes, like I said, we sort of eased into the moving things around because it was just sort of practical here, practical there, and then it was just like, oh, what day should we do this on? It's like, I don't know. But it's either that or something has to, that first few times does get sort of dicey, especially if people are really attached. Then once you get through, you just have to power through, and then after that, you're like, yeah, it's all good, whatever. Did the family get together?
Yeah, well, exactly, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Though we are both lucky though in that we actually enjoy our families.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of people that there's a lot of crap just going on in everybody's life normally anyway. And then there's people where they're, family members don't believe they have a certain condition or don't think it's as bad as they say. And I'm just like, oh, can you just not?
Be nice. Just be nice. You believed in Santa. You can believe in your friend or your sister or whatever. And just for once.
Yeah.
Just basically stop sharing your opinion and say, so what's it like?
I know. It's like, this would go, it's already been over 20 minutes. We can probably wrap it up, but this would be a whole other bit. But I know, and I get frustrated when people do the whole, have you tried this type of yoga or whatever else? And I know it comes from a good place. Like they want to, and occasionally it's something I've never heard of and I should have heard of it. So I try really hard, but sometimes it's hard not to hear it as you're not doing all you can.
Well, yes.
So that's kind of more my issue than...
I think it's that desire that we're talking... Look at us coming straight back to it. We'll be talking about cookies next. But I think it's that desire to help and feeling helpless. And I'm a fixer. I admit it. I try sometimes not to be, but it's very hard because you just want to help this person so much. But yes, like you said, the way it comes across, I have developed a line that I basically shut people down really nice, and I just said my doctor and I are very confident in the treatment choices. Thank you, and then move on to, hey, have you tried the cookies? so there. And I find that shuts people down, and I guess you can also also before you get too upset, if somebody's always trying to fix you, basically say listen, when you say stuff like that, it feels like you don't think I'm trying everything I can, and my doctor and I have talked about everything and have settled on a good plan. And I think that also lets people know, it's like, hey, what I say has an impact. Yeah. In a kind of, in a gentle way, because I'm conflict averse. Mm-hmm. And at least then there's no fight over the turkey.
Well, there'll probably be a fight over something else. Yeah. I'd rather it not be this. This is true.
Yeah, you know, politics, the wishbone, whatever, but you don't end up with massively hurt and feelings of being misunderstood and feelings of not being seen or not being heard. So, I don't know, like, it's all about finding that space of just, there's certain things we don't talk about.
Fair enough.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, maybe you might actually get somebody to understand and listen, which is, and again, to get self-promotional, that's part of the point of the tips in my book, because usually what I do when I share a tip about saying this is how you can help someone, I explain why. So in one respect, I think Chronic Christmas is very much my attempt at helping other people understand. I don't think that you can actually, and this is a whole other episode, I am beginning to realize that in the quest for others to understand, I don't think people really truly can understand, but they can know and they can accept my reality, and I'm good with that. They don't have to fully understand what pain feels like.
No, I'd rather they didn't, actually.
Yeah.
I know we've had this discussion before, but yeah, getting people to get it on some, even if it's not 100% on some level, get it. That's...
Well, and it's like, I have migraines. I don't understand your migraines because mine aren't as bad as yours are, but I accept the consequences of your migraines, which is, you know, okay, so we shift a date we're supposed to get together. And there are times where, like, both of us are really kind of pissed about it, but at the same time, like, it's just what we do. So there's just I really look forward to this, but yeah, it's just what we do.
Yeah.
Fuck the migraine.
Yes.
Pardon the language.
But I put explicit because I know it's going to happen.
Oh, I was so proud of myself. I've been, like, family friendly throughout the whole thing and just ruined it.
Well, you know, like I said, we're getting tired.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we should just wrap it up on our
We should.
So I do agree. Fuck migraines. Fuck everything. Mm-hmm. And, you know, but Christmas or holidays or whatever, we're just spending time with family. Mm-hmm. It's good.
It's all good.
I hope it is anyway. My family, luckily. So, and I mean, I guess family of choice, if your biological family are all assholes or whatever the situation is. Mm-hmm. And
the reason things just sounded different, and there was a thump in the background, is that Lucy the cat came up to say hello.
And I could not resist, because I am a sucker.
Yeah, well, she's pretty good at that.
But yeah, so your book is awesome, and now it's in audio, so now you can be baking Christmas cookies and listening to the book.
Oh, I know!
It all comes back to the cookies. Alright, I think we're done.
Alrighty.
So that was our chat. The link to the Chronic Christmas audiobook is going to be in the show notes, so don't worry about that. There is a physical book, too, if you want to go physical book route, but the audiobook is new, so that's extra special right now. And if you want to find Lena, she's all over the internet. She's got a blog, The Seated View. She's on all the social medias. She does all of it. I honestly don't know how. And rumor has it that there is a cookie recipe in the book. Just saying. All right. So I think that's the end of it for this month. Have a great holiday. Please subscribe. If you've got some time, you can rate, review. That would be great. I'm doing the whole social media thing too, but not as well as Lena. She kicks ass. I just sort of hack it occasionally, so I'm not going to clog up your digital feeds of any kind, because I post whenever. So @Medicated Babbling is for all the podcasty stuff, and any other random stuff I post on JT Art and Stuff. That's for Instagram. For Twitter is mbabbling. I don't really use it that much. I don't get Twitter. One of these days, somebody needs to teach me Twitter. I need to go do that. Anyway, there's also a Facebook page if you do the Facebook thing. And, the podcast obviously is on a lot of different podcatchers, but it's also on YouTube, because I know some people listen on that. And I want to just give out a great big thanks to Fresh Kills for the intro and outro music. And for you guys, if you're listening, thank you. That's great. Have a great holiday, whether you celebrate Christmas or not. Take some time off, chill, relax. I also want to say thanks to the listeners, because you guys are the best. Thank you so much. Anyway, don't forget you matter, and I'll talk to you next time.
1, 2, 3, 4, get it! 1, 2, 3, 4, get it! 1, 2, 3, 4, get it! 4, get it!